This period brought to you by Toyota. The year-end countdown is on now, making it the perfect time to get into a new Toyota.
Rogers Arena in Vancouver, where the Canucks hope to build on the success of their 4-game road trip and push their home record above the 500 mark. It's the second meeting of the year between the Canucks and the Coyotes, and the starting goalies, as always, brought to you by Tim Hortons, official coffee of the NHL. Mike Smith's last start was a 6-2 win in Edmonton. That snapped a personal 4-game losing streak. Roberto Luongo, as is usually the case, was solid in his first start after a game where he got the hook. He stopped 30 of 31 in a winning effort over the Nashville Predators. The offensive hero of that game, of course, was Ryan Kesler, who scored twice, backing up his 2-goal performance the game previous against Carolina. Speaking of 2-goal performances, Kyle Chipchura had one in this building last February in pacing the Coyotes to a win over Vancouver. And those two will go up against each other on this game's opening face-off. Kesler between Higgins and Sandarelli, the line the Canucks finished with in Nashville that was so effective. And left together to start this one, Ryan Stanton, Kevin Bieksa on defense. Here's David Moss passing ahead. Chipchura tips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Stanton goes back, sends around for Santarelli. He controls the puck in the corner, reverses to the near side. Michael Stone there to hold the puck in. It deflects to Chipchura, who tried to spin with a shot but couldn't get it through. And Santarelli gets the puck ahead to Kesler, who's able to move through center. Kesler over the Phoenix line. Drops for Kevin Bieksa, who goes wide on the backhand, throws one in front. Higgins tried to poke at the puck, but the Coyotes able to send it to the side, and Chipchura gets it out. Going ahead for Bieksa again. Down that left wing. One hands, one on goal. Puck still alive. David Booth missed it. Here's Hamhuis with a shot attempt. That deflects wide of the goal. Booth throws one in front. That ricochets right to Radim Vrbata, who carries through center for Phoenix. Vrbata, poke check. That thwarted the entry, but now Ribeiro is able to move in on the right wing. Mike Ribeiro under pressure from Dan Hamhuis. Keeps after the puck. Works it to Martin Hanzal. He dishes off left side, and a centering pass for Vrbata. He couldn't tip it home on a nice feed from Keith Yandel. Vrbata doesn't miss those very often. David Booth dumps the puck in. Henrik Sedin lays for Daniels. Centering. Knocked away by the goaltender Smith. And Vrbata has the puck carrying to center. He lifts a high one. Luongo reaching, grabs that puck and drops it down for Chris Tanev. Tanev carries to center. Ahead for Brad Richardson, who deflects the puck behind the Phoenix goal. Mike Smith out of his net. Gets it by Dale Weiss. Bodker couldn't move out, however. Richardson tries to center. Jannik Hansen goes after the puck behind the net to Brad Richardson. Working on Antoine Vermette. Richardson cycles for Weiss. Connor Murphy trying to stay with him. Here's Jannik Hansen in front for Richardson, who was open. Pass never got through. Now the second attempt is cleared to the side. Stanton gets the puck. Slap shot stopped by Smith. Still loose. Canucks jam away. Cleared to the side. Garrison there, but the net's off. On that wild scramble with Weiss going hard to the front, the net was dislodged.
Well, David Schlemko came back and ran Dale Weiss into the post. Kevin Bieksa getting involved offensively. Nice pass up. Dan Hamhuis to his partner, and one hand on the stick. Just throw it at the net and hope for a rebound. It's off Mike Smith, but nobody can make contact. Mike Ribeiro is such a great playmaker. Controls it, but he's not that big, but controls, keeps it in. And Radim Vrbata, who doesn't miss that very often, had to go off the toe of his stick.
Shots are 3-0 Canucks. But here's Jeff Halpern with Luongo's first official test, and Luongo to his knees makes the save. On the whistle, we'll check in with Murph.
Thanks, John. A reminder to play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Ted Kaufman of Vancouver could win $1 million. Shop and swipe at Safeway. You could be our next lucky winner.
Fourth line shift, and out comes Brad Richardson to take this face-off. Zach Kassian and Paul Bissonnette were talking after the last stop by Roberto Luongo.
Out as well as Andrew Alberts. First game action since October 24th in New Jersey. Paired on defense with Jason Garrison as Alberts takes the place of Alex Edler in the Vancouver lineup. Oliver Ekman-Larsson ahead for Halpern, who deflects the puck in behind the Canuck goal. Bissonnette moves in on Alberts, who hooks one ahead right onto the tape of Tom Sestito. Sestito to center on the left wing. Passes the puck in behind the Phoenix goal. Mike Smith throws it ahead. Here's Rob Klinkhammer. Pass to Jeff Halpern. And that's off the stick of Kevin Bieksa and into the Vancouver bench.
I always admire guys who can keep a positive attitude and still sit out every night. And Andrew Alberts, he wants to play. He's like every other professional athlete, professional hockey players in particular. You're around the team, but you don't feel like you're part of it. And every day you have to go out and practice with the scratches and stay out with the extra goalie. I think John Tortorella almost feels glad that Andrew Alberts is getting some action, although I'm sure he's not glad that Alex Edler is out of the lineup.
For the foreseeable future, Alex Edler. Here's Ekman Larsson under pressure from David Booth, who knocks the puck away from him. Sends it to the side for Henrik Sedin. He ran into Tim Kennedy. But Daniel Sedin gets the puck. In deep for Henrik. Being checked behind the net by Stone. Bodker picks up the puck. Flips it out to center ice where Dan Hamhuis had his stick lifted. Daniel Sedin plays the puck forward, picked up by Ekman Larsson, who throws it inside the Vancouver line. Kennedy down the left side. Tanev reached out to knock the puck away from him. Here's Bodker. Mikhail Bodker to the blue line. Yandel fakes the shot. Down the left wing. Throws one towards the front. It's loose. Kennedy was there but couldn't steer it past Luongo. Daniel Sedin too slow to move the puck, but then it was hit by the high stick of Kennedy. And as Vermette touches, the whistle blows.
Faceoff comes outside. David Booth worked on his skating with Barb Edelbaum and gets in hard on the forecheck and creates a turnover. The Canucks couldn't do anything with it. Henrik Sedin gets hit with this one and it goes dangerously close to the post, but just went wide.
Luongo out of his net, clears to the near side. Dave Moss there to block it. Kessler works the puck towards Higgins. It's off his skate right to Chip Chura. Connor Murphy with a long shot. That was blocked. And Higgins winds up with the puck. Nice pass to Mike Santorelli. With Kessler. Santorelli fires the puck in from the right side. Smith could only slow it, not stop it. Santorelli from behind the goal, shielding the puck from Chip Chura. But Chip Chura able to win the battle, and he starts out for the Coyotes. Pass across, Connor Murphy, lead feed. Moss is in, backhander stopped by Luongo, and then Moss crashed into him as Luongo was juggling the puck. But it stayed out as the net came off.
Good save by Roberto Luongo, square to David Moss. The Coyotes with a quick transition. 2 passes and Moss has a breakaway. And Roberto Luongo takes it off the logo. We were admiring the way Roberto played in Nashville. His positioning was so good, and there again on David Moss, perfect position.
Connor Murphy with the pass, the son of longtime NHLer, both as a player and a coach, Gord Murphy. And that put Moss in the clear. Dan Hamhuis off the face-off in the Vancouver zone. Pass to Daniel Sedin at center. He wires one around. Henrik tips the puck in front. David Rundblad there. He's replacing Derek Morris in the Phoenix lineup as Morris attends to a family matter. Jason Garrison up for David Booth. Finds Daniel Sedin, who tried to throw one across center for Henrik. Ribeiro winds up with the puck, moves in with Hansel. Drops for Verbata. Verbata with a wrist shot. Luongo saw it all the way, and he swallows it up for the whistle.
John Tortorella and his coaching staff feels that the team played well on the road, 3-1, no doubt about that, but they felt that they played 5 of the 6 games here very well. They thought they played as well as they have on the road, but just didn't get the results. Glenn Gulson handling the press conference yesterday.
Shots are 4 apiece to start this one after the Canucks had the first 3 of the game. Dale Weiss tips the puck down the boards. Coyotes send it around to Stone. Ahead for Halpern, who made a tip pass intended for Bissonnette, but the Canucks wind up with the puck. And didn't make contact, however. Icing called, although Smith was coming up to play.
Yes, Lonnie Cameron now is talking to the goaltender.
Well, guys, these two teams have met once this season. Happened back on November 5th. In that game, Mike Smith was very good. 31 saves in regulation. It did go to a shootout tied at 2 and didn't have to make the final save to win the game.
Puck in the corner, not the move Henrik had planned.
No.
Good pressure from Weiss there as he took the body of Connor Murphy and tipped the puck out. Verbata plays it back into the Vancouver zone. Hamhuis starts from behind his net up the middle of Richardson. That one was too far ahead of Weiss. Canucks make their change after the icing. At least they start the change. Hansel throws one through the slot. Ribeiro in deep for Verbata. Pass to the blue line. Yandel in for Hansel. Hanhus moves to check him. Puck winds up on Santorelli's stick. Tried to ring it around, but that's intercepted by Mike Ribeiro. Ribeiro to the blue line. Yandel with a drive, and Luongo with the left pad on it. Had to stretch with the left leg. Canucks get the puck ahead. Here's Higgins at center. Throwing one across, intended for Santorelli, but the Coyotes intercept, send it forward. It's an icing call, and the faceoff will come down into the Phoenix zone.
Roberto Luongo doesn't pick this one up till the very end, and I think that's why he ends up stretching and just getting his toe on it.
Kessler against Ribeiro on this faceoff in the Phoenix zone. Just past the 6-minute mark, first period, no score, and Ribeiro waved out, so Hansel has to move in to take the draw. Coyotes win possession, and Yandel skates the puck forward. Luongo out of his net. Leaves that puck for Kevin Bieksa. On defense with Ryan Stanton, the pass comes to Kessler, who couldn't take it cleanly off his skate, and Phoenix turns it back the other way. Klinkhammer down the right side, throws one in front. Luongo knocked it away. Klinkhammer on his own rebound, couldn't get it on goal. And the puck sent around to Ryan Kessler, who's having trouble finding it in his feet. Takes a hit from Klinkhammer as he gets the puck out. Kessler's after it again. Goes back at Klinkhammer as Bieksa controls the puck. Stanton back to Bieksa. Lead feed. Zach Kassian has Rundblad lined up, gives him a bump as the pass is made to Kyle Chipchura. Bodker with a couple of moves, and he finds Schlemko. Left side feed. Kennedy back to Bodker. Taken down. Play goes on. And out with the puck is Tom Sestito. Sestito onto the right wing for Zach Dalpe. Hip check. And that freed up the puck for Mikhail Bodker. Past the 7-minute mark, the scoreless first. And Bodker misses the pass at neutral ice. Jason Garrison ahead for Kassian. That was partially disrupted. Kassian missed the pass, and the Coyotes take the puck back. Daniel Sedin on the ice. There's his brother Henrik passing back to Dan Hanhus. Hanhus ahead to Daniel Sedin. Down the boards. Henrik gives chase. And Larson is there. But Daniel follows up, gets the puck in for Henrik. Henrik along the inboards for Daniel. Brings the puck in front, trying to jam it on goal. It's loose. Daniel, while down, got the shaft of the hockey stick on it, sliding it towards the net. But Mike Smith was able to make the save, and he covers up. And keeps the game scoreless at Rogers Arena.
Between the ages of 5 and 12 that's enrolled in hockey and exemplifies qualities of leadership and teamwork. Go to Canucks.com/safe and fun to nominate them to be a Chevrolet Safe and Fun Hockey Ambassador.
Olympics this year, a tight schedule, and some of the linesmen are going to Sochi, and Lottie Cameron, we're happy to say, is one of them, the BC product. Grew up on the island, and he's headed along with 6 of it. I guess it's 7 linesmen and 6 NHL referees who have been chosen to be part of it. It really is a good experience. I'm sure they'll have fun.
David Booth in to take this face-off in place of Henrik Sedin. He wins it. Daniel Sedin plays the puck to the side, hands it, intercepts, and here's Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He fires the puck into the Vancouver zone. Hanhus goes back. Daniel Sedin ahead for Booth. Puck hopped over his stick. He keeps after it, but it's chopped away by Stone. Hansel trying to move in. He's checked. And there's not a ton of ice out there to start this hockey game between the Canucks and Phoenix. A little over 8 minutes gone. 0-0 to score. David Booth trying to make something happen in the Phoenix zone. Henrik Sedin has the puck. Behind for Booth. On the backhand. Turns it back to the forehand. Centers for Henrik. That's knocked away. Ribeiro gloves the puck down and starts out. Verbata takes his pass and propels the puck into the Vancouver zone. Both teams completing changes. As out with the puck is Chris Tanev. He heads to the bench after getting one ahead to Santorelli, whose hard shot was stopped by the left pad of Smith. Kessler's after the puck. Santorelli as well. Great job to get it. Higgins shoots, and a left pad saved by Smith. Coyotes clear the zone after the Canucks generated a couple of chances. One off the rush, and then another one, a nice setup to Higgins in the slot. Kevin Bieksa back after a rolling puck. We're past the 9-minute mark of the first. Andrew Alberts with Bieksa on this shift. Pass to Santorelli. Couple of quick moves in the neutral zone. But the pass was off the mark. Santorelli has to feed back to Bieksa. Ahead for Kessler. He couldn't knock that one down, and this will be an icing call, resulting in a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
Good save by Mike Smith on a bang-bang play. Pressure on the forecheck. Chris Higgins is out in front, gets a shot away very quickly, and Mike Smith makes the save. You wonder about the Olympic goalies. I know Mike Smith, before the season started, was one of the prime candidates. And 3 of his last 5 starts, he's allowed 4 or more at the hook in one of them.
Here's Schlemko trying to find a shooting alley. And it hit a body in front. Puck deflects to the corner. Alberts gets it ahead. Canucks want to get the puck down and complete a change here. This forward line, along with Alberts and Bieksa, been out there a little while. Bieksa must have been a curler back in Grimsby, Ontario, because that's perfect. Canucks complete their change as that puck doesn't make it to the goal line. David Rundblad. Schlemko tips the puck in, and Garrison goes back for Vancouver. Here's Ryan Stanton skating to center. Ahead for Dale Weiss. Puck hit him, and it winds up on the stick of Antoine Vermette, who comes back. Weiss closed the gap, lifted his stick, and stole the puck, but now he loses it just inside his own blue line. Bodker controlling, shooting wide of the goal, and the puck ricochets off the corner boards, past Oliver Ekman-Larsson and down into the Phoenix zone. 9.5 minutes left, scoreless first. Tanev under pressure from Kennedy. Clears the puck off the boards and out. Hansen helps it along. Ekman-Larsson blocked that. Weiss is still after the puck. Here's Tanev hit by Kennedy. As he tried to advance the puck, it's picked up by Bodker. Now following up his stone with a slap shot and a blocker saved by Luongo, who steered that puck over the glass to his right. That shot labeled top corner, but Luongo with the right arm able to hold it out, and it's still 0-0.
Live the game with Windows. Yesterday, Heritage Classic presser in Vancouver, and NHL Revealed was revealed to us, at least a sneak peek. This is the behind-the-scenes documentary featuring the teams leading up to the Stadium Series. It's going to be very entertaining. John Tortorella with a pep talk we would expect, and I wonder if Dale Weiss is still searching for his helmet.
You know what I found interesting? Of course, it was Ottawa's home game, but Shorty, you and I were pushed aside by Dean Brown and Dennis Potvin in that little clip. Let's go with the winning team.
Here's the chance in front. Ribeiro. And puck came outside the line. Stone brought it in. Your nose gets out of joint when you don't get top billing, doesn't it? Here's Smith caught out of the net, centering pass, and Stone was there.
I'm used to it.
Touche. Dan Hamhuis couldn't get that one through. Tried to send the puck ahead. Kessler with the left leg held it in briefly, but now it's out to center. Kessler battles Hanzel down on the ice, gets the puck to Higgins, drops to Tanev. Pass for Santorelli was out of his reach. Puck comes right in front. Hanzel there to intersect. And Ribeiro skates out for the Coyotes. Shots are 7 apiece. The game is scoreless. Just under 8.5 minutes to go in the opening period. That puck tipped through towards the Phoenix goal. Smith couldn't reach it. Murphy tips the puck around. Henrik Sedin hustles after that one. The Canuck captain leaves for Daniel Sedin. Check from behind by Vermette. Canucks keep after the puck. Henrik shielding it. Now in deep for David Booth. Booth goes behind the net. Takes on Murphy. Booth spins to the corner. Turning on Murphy. Good strength on his skates. David Booth. Pass for Daniel Sedin. Went right through his legs, but Garrison moves down from the point to hold it in. Here's Booth. Coming off the wing. Cuts to the slot. Puts the puck to the side. Henrik Sedin couldn't steer it on goal, but he gets it in the corner. Sends it near side. Bieksa is going to move down to the point. Bodker gets the puck past him, but it's held in.
Kevin Bieksa has got a high stick in Bodker's face.
So it'll be a Vancouver penalty for that play in the corner.
Kevin Bieksa was just trying to lift Bodker's stick, but doesn't get the stick, gets the face, especially the face mask instead.
2-minute minor to Bieksa at 12:23. First power play of the game to Phoenix.
You know, we were talking about the goaltenders before. How about Corey Crawford, Stanley Cup winner?
I know
how
he's
about,
on your list.
How about Josh Harding?
That'd be a nice story.
There's an interesting name. Just on this year's play alone.
Here's a shot from the line. That went wide as Rundblad tried to test Luongo. Phoenix has the 7th-ranked power play in the National Hockey League at just over 21%. Canucks penalty killing still ranked number 1 overall at 89%. Verbata risks the puck in from center. Cannon able to work it free to Chris Higgins, who skates out with Dan Hamhuis. Hamhuis slows in the neutral zone before firing the puck into Phoenix territory. And Stone is back to collect, dumping the puck behind the goal for Rundblad. Minute 15 to go in the penalty to Kevin Bieksa. Ribeiro onto the left wing, Hansel across, Verbata shoots, blocked. Getting in front of that was Ryan Stanton, who then got up to shoot the puck down the ice.
Good read by Ryan Stanton. Out there before Verbata could really tee it up.
Coyotes trying to move in again. Just onside is Vermette. Back to Yandel. Saucers one to Ekman-Larsson at the right point. He puts one to the slot. Bodker is there. Back towards Ekman-Larsson. That was tipped by Daniel Sedin, and the puck stays in the zone. Moss from the corner. To the blue line, Ekman-Larsson moves to the middle. Wrist shot, Luongo steers that to the corner with Moss providing a screen. Henrik Sedin blocks the centering pass. Garrison can't clear. Another chance on the backhand, and this one he gets past the point man and down the ice. 20 seconds to go on the Bieksa penalty. Under 6 minutes remaining. First period. Canucks and Coyotes in a scoreless tie. Andrews frees up the puck for Tanev in the corner. Richardson shielding it in traffic. Passes behind the net for Tanev. That didn't work. Coyotes trying to get the puck to the blue line. Bieksa's out of the box as Ekman-Larsson turns and dumps one around to the other side. So it's 10 straight kills for the Canucks and 25 of the last 27. After giving up 2 on 3 attempts to the New York Rangers, that really the only blemish of the road trip, and they're off to a good start in this one with the early kill and a scoreless first.
This period brought to you by Toyota. The year-end countdown is on now, making it the perfect time to get into a new Toyota.
Canucks penalty killers have done such a great job, as you mentioned, John, and all the kills they've had in a row. Reading the plays. There's Ryan Stanton, reads the pass, anticipates, gets over there before Verbata gets the pass, and then perfect spot to block that shot.
Fourth line shift, Dalpy, Sestito, cashed in for Vancouver. Play the puck into the Phoenix zone. Sestito's after it. Comes to Zach Dalpy, who shoots, and a glove saved by Smith. Dalpy wasted no time getting that one off. We have football to tell you about, both on City and Sportsnet Sunday. Battle of 5 and 7 teams, New York Giants and San Diego. But let's not kid ourselves. It's the NFC West matchup we're all interested in. Seahawks, 49ers, 1 o'clock Sunday.
How'd you like that game last night? Got the coach fired. It was so good.
11 in a row for Houston. Gary Kubiak paid the price. I got that one right.
Oh, good.
Simon's on a roll.
Yes.
Tom Sestito after the puck. Here's Dalpy. Another shot attempt that hit Murphy in front of his goaltender. We've heard about the quick release of Zach Dalpy from the people in Carolina when we were there. And on that one shift before the face-off, he wasted no time getting a shot away and got pretty good wood on that second attempt that didn't get through. Here's Ribeiro, bodied by Bieksa. They both go down. Weiss trying to move out. Following up is Alberts. Gets the puck to the line, and Weiss pokes it ahead to Jannik Hansen. Now Weiss plays it in past Schlemko, and Rundblad winds up with the puck. He's upended. Play goes on as he makes the pass ahead to Hansel. Tried to feed onto the left wing. That was off the mark, and here's Brad Richardson. Dumping the puck to the line, held in. Hansen has a chance to clear, but it's Ribeiro picking up the puck. Tried to dance his way around Hansen, who sprawled and broke it up. Brad Richardson a little slow going to the Vancouver bench. We'll keep our eye on him as he has a quick word with Mike Bernstein and sits hunched over. Chris Tanev passes to center and Ryan Kessler turns, gets the puck to the line but no further. Ribeiro has it in the neutral zone for Phoenix. Here's Moss sliding the puck. Santorelli goes back around for Garrison. Hanhus takes his pass, and Dan Hanhus skates up the middle before passing on to the right wing to Chris Higgins. Kessler first man in on the forecheck, around for Santorelli. Back for Kessler, is being tied up by Ekman Larsson. Chipchura digs the puck free and sends it ahead to Rob Klinkhammer. Klinkhammer slides the puck in behind the goal, now hits Stanton, who was able to pass to Garrison. Santorelli goes quickly ahead to Kessler, who delays before firing to Ryan Stanton. In on the left wing, Stanton. This shot stopped by Smith as that, I think, hit his stick and then rode up into his goal mask, but the puck stayed out and the Coyotes clear it down into the Vancouver zone. Under 3 minutes to go in the first period. Shots are 9-8 in favor of Vancouver. Although the grade A chances, John, you wouldn't need a very big piece of paper to make the list on.
No. I think the best chance of the period was that one Radim Vrbata missed on the tip-in try.
Here's an icing call against Phoenix and a face-off down the ice.
Well, Yannick Hansen on Mike Ribeiro tries to stop it and catches the right toe. Still able to make the play. Kept his eye on the puck and able to dive forward and make the play.
Fooled me. I thought it was all by design. Henrik Sedin against Antoine Vermette, who always seems to be in the top 10 every year in face-offs. Canucks control this one, though. Rebound chance. Nope, Smith's got it. As Daniel Sedin kind of spun the goalie around trying to jar that puck free.
Well, Mike Smith didn't handle that one cleanly. It went off his chest and then into the glove, and that's why Daniel Sedin was coming through.
Another face-off between Henrik Sedin and Antoine Vermette. Vermette cleanly back to Yandel. To the line, held in by Garrison. Another chance for Phoenix to get the puck out, and Kennedy does. VX is over for it. Kennedy blocked that, but he's got a teammate trapped. Bodker was offside, and the whistle blows.
You're right, there's not much room. Phoenix coming off that 4-1 loss in Calgary. They're in the middle of a stretch where they play 8 of 10 on the road.
Canucks, when we started a 5-game homestand, Luongo careful of that bouncer. Those are scary ones when they bounce a couple of feet in front of you.
The Coyotes, their power play unsuccessful in their first try without Shane Doan. Long flipper by Rundblad, who's in for Derek Morris. And you can see it took a little kick to the right, but Roberto taking no chances. Shane Doan has 6 power play goals already. So he's one of the guys they missed on that first attempt.
Face-off win. Puck comes to Schlemko. Drops it back to Bodker on a design play. His shot tipped, didn't get through. Rebound. Long goes down. Kennedy couldn't jam it home, and Higgins is able to glove the centering pass away. Pick up the puck himself and dump it ahead. Knocked down by Vermette, who's checked by Kessler, but Schlemko gets the puck to Rundblad. Delays before throwing up the middle to Vermette. Bodker. Schlemko fakes the shot, gets around Bieksa. Sharp angle bid, stopped by Luongo. And Bieksa winds up with the puck for Vancouver. Kevin Bieksa to Chris Higgins. Tried to play one gently ahead for Santorelli. That's broken up, and Higgins gets the puck again and passes it back to Hanhus. Under a minute and a half to go in the first. Canucks changing as Higgins gets to the Phoenix blue line and risks the puck in. Henrik Sedin lifted the stick of his man. Now Booth gets in the puck. Henrik to Tanev. Down the boards for Henrik Sedin. He's able to steal it away from Vrbata. Now Hansel checks Henrik Sedin. Booth is after the puck in the corner. As the Canucks try to find some room. Booth to the blue line. That deflects in front. Daniels spinning. Trying to get a shot away. Couldn't make good contact. Now Hanhus tries a shot in the final minute of the first. Sedin's in after the puck. Henrik gets it. Henrik Sedin working on Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Passes to Daniel Sedin. Daniel to Henrik. Daniel looking for room in front as Henrik throws one to the crease, and reaching out with the glove was Mike Smith to snare that puck.
Well, David Booth going to the front of the net. He had two defensemen on him, but there's no room for Henrik to bring it himself to the net. And Mike Smith handled it easy.
Murph.
Guys, Canucks TV presents All In with Kevin Bieksa, Barry McDonald in conversation with number 3 on life, hockey, his future, and his journey this Sunday, December 8th at 11 o'clock, and Monday, 5:30 on Sportsnet Pacific.
Connor Murphy gets the puck off the face-off of the Phoenix zone, but Richardson read that one. The Coyotes get the puck back. Point hammer to Moss. Moving in on Stanton. He tips the puck to the corner and chases after it there. Final 30 seconds of the first period. No score. Shots are 10 apiece. Richardson gets the loose puck. One last rush for the Canucks. 4 of them to center. Richardson to the Phoenix line. Overskates the puck. And that put the rush offside with 15.3 seconds remaining in the first period.
Both teams standing up well at the blue line there. The Coyotes did a nice job. Forced the offside.
I don't know how comfortable Brad Richardson is right now. I think he seemed shaken up after his last shift and seemed a little discomfort heading off after this one.
First intermission to be looked at.
Yandel with the puck. Final 10 seconds of the first. Kennedy deflects it in behind the Vancouver goal. Luongo shoots it around. Bodker blocks that. Couple of seconds left, and this first period will wind up scoreless as Luongo and Smith each faced 10 shots and each stopped all 10 fired their way. We talked about Dale Weiss in the opening. 4 points in his last 5 games. He's matched his career best for a season, and he'll chat with Joey Kenward in a few moments. Dale Weiss coming up, so too is the panel. Dan Murphy joined by Ian McIntyre and Scott Rintoul. Canucks and Coyotes scoreless through 1. We're back with more right after this.
Welcome back to Vancouver. Canucks playing the first of 5 straight on home ice. First period scoring summary brought to you by Future Shop. For the season's hottest gadgets at the best price guaranteed. Head to futureshop.ca. Season's gadgets from Future Shop. See the shots, 10 apiece. Hits in favor of the road team. They've also got the edge in the face-off circle as well. John?
Well, Murph, we talked about Dale Weiss in the opening to this game, and 4 points his last 5 games, career high 8 points, matching his career high. What did you think of his first period?
Well, energy. I think that's one of the things, even when you don't have the puck, things you can do. A big hit, and then just good pursuit on the back check. Try and get in on the forward check. Not a whole lot happening for either team in that first period, and you just have to play and keep your energy up and wait for your chances. And I thought that's what Dale did in that first period.
Canucks had the Kessler line out to take this face-off. You don't see this very often, but a quick change before the drop of the puck, and it's the Sedin line that comes out. Daniel Sedin risks the puck in from center. Mike Smith slowed it, didn't stop it. Ekman Larsson, weak clearing attempt, held in by David Booth. Booth goes down under the check of Chipchura, and the puck is cleared out by Phoenix. Ryan Stanton sends it off the glass and back the other way. Henrik Sedin, pass for David Booth. He now finds Stanton, who works his way to center and backhands the puck behind the Phoenix goal. Smith delayed before sending it up the boards. Booth cuts that off. Daniel Sedin back to David Booth. Booth sent one in front, tipped by Henrik. It's up in the air, and Henrik Sedin couldn't put it home on the backhand, but he's going to draw a penalty as he was being held in front by Ekman Larsson. And Ekman Larsson gets a 2-minute holding call.
Problem with that tip-in try is Henrik was in so close to Mike Smith that there wasn't a whole lot of room for the puck to go anywhere else except into Smith's body. It's up in the air, and Ekman Larsson has the left hand wrapped right around Henrik.
First power play attempt for the Canucks, who have scored at least one power play goal in 6 straight games. The first time they've done that since the 2008-2009 season, when they did it in a stretch from January 28th to February 12th. Our thanks to stats guru Irfan Gafar for digging that one under. And the Canucks trying to make it 7 in a row set up. Ham Hughes taking the spot of Alex Edler. Saucers one for Garrison, who did well just to hold that puck in. But intercepting is Schlemko off the glove of Garrison, and Hansel's after the puck. Martin Hansel being pursued by Daniel Sedin and Dan Hamhuis, who's able to knock the puck away to the corner. 30 seconds already elapsed in the penalty to Ekman-Larsson. Kessler moves in, leaves for Garrison. Down for Ryan Kessler. Hooks the puck around for Daniel Sedin. From the corner, he banks one back to Hamhuis. Over to Garrison. Slap shot. Scores! Kessler was in front. Henrik Sedin lurking as well. A point shot from Jason Garrison. A power play goal makes it 1-0.
Well, Jason Garrison has been absolutely on fire. And John, we talked about his shots hitting the net, and even the ones that are tipped are directed into the net. Tom Sestito got one on the road, and here's the shot by Garrison. I think that's straight in.
Yep.
I think that one's just, it's rolling a little bit when he hits it, and I think that's off Mike Smith's pad and in. Off his arm. What a shot by Jason Garrison. Just beats Mike Smith.
Garrison gets his 4th to go with his 14 assists. Assist to Hamhuis and Daniel Sedin. And the Canucks make it 7 straight games with a power play goal. Struggle right on through until this stretch. But the Canucks are starting to roll with a man advantage, and Garrison's goal means a winner on Safeway Store and Win. For Safeway and General Mills Cheerios, we congratulate from Surrey, Heather Woolley. Heather, you've won the Troy-built single-stage snow thrower with electric start.
Here comes the puck, and it's bouncing. You see it flutter a bit, and that's hard for the goaltender to read, and that knuckler beats Mike Smith.
Here's Yandel with a shot at the other end. That tipped wide of the goal. Verbata fakes a shot attempt, now tries to throw one on net. That didn't get through. Santorelli intercepts in front of his goal. Calmly shovels the puck to Hamhuis. And now is able to tip it back to Tanev, who rings around for Higgins. Here comes Kessler, 2-on-1 with Santorelli. Ryan Kessler down the left wing. Kessler fakes, centers Santorelli. With the pass disrupted, couldn't reach it. And the Canucks don't get anything off that odd man rush. Higgins steals the puck. He's checked. Cleared the line, held in by Tanev. He dumps the puck to the corner. Yandel goes back for the Coyotes. Quick shift to get around 2 Canucks. And Connor Murphy passes ahead to center. That's broken up. And now whistle down on the offside as Higgins picked it up just inside the Phoenix blue line.
Well, Jason Garrison gets spaced, get ready for this, and puck bouncing, and he still gets all of it. But you can see it knuckle on the way in, and Mike Smith just can't play it.
It is the 13th time this season the Canucks have scored first. They're 7-3-2 this year, and you look back the last few seasons, Canucks about as good as any team in terms of making that first goal count for a positive result. Fans reacting to a hit by Weiss, and Rundblad, who he hit, came back in front and almost had that puck deflect off him into his net. Coyotes break out. They have a chance for a 2-on-1. Vermette moving in, shoots long to the save. Vermette has a rebound, put it through the crease and out the near side. Close call there. Vermette trying to feed the blue line. That's broken up. Here's Kennedy. Back to Schlemko. It's off him, and Dale Weiss has a break down the right wing. Weiss cutting it on goal. Shoots. Left pad save by Mike Smith. We had more clear-cut chances in this second period than we had in all of the first, and we're only 3 minutes in. Andrew Alberts. Ahead to Yannick Hansen. He tips the puck into the Phoenix zone. Smith way out of his net. Gives it away to Cassian. Sharp angle shot. Hit the side of the net. With Smith nowhere to be found, but Cassian from a tough angle. Couldn't negotiate it. Sestito. Behind the net for Zach Cassian. That one deflects to the crease. And Smith in position this time to cover up and get the stoppage.
Well, he's had a couple of adventures. He handled the puck 7 times in the first period where he came out and played it. Dale Weiss, again, we saw in the first period, get in on the forecheck, make sure you make contact. David Rundblad goes down, and now you've got a semi-breakaway, not a great angle, face-off dot. Mike Smith handled that one very easy.
Henrik Sedin on the face-off. Loses it to Jeff Halpern, but Henrik gloves the clearing attempt down. Knocked down by Halpern, who shoves the puck ahead, and here's another 2-on-1. Moss in on the right wing, Klinkhammer in front. Moss shoots Luongo the save. Went down to his knees, but kept the upper body tall and upright. And Luongo able to make the stop. David Booth tips the puck the other way, runs into Michael Stone. Chip Churro winds up with the puck and banks it ahead. Moss for Klinkhammer, broken up by Garrison. Henrik Sedin after the puck at center, being checked by David Moss. David Booth gets the puck, sends it across, and Garrison is there for Vancouver. Andrew Alberts ahead for Mike Santorelli, who backhands the puck behind the Phoenix goal. Smith puts it on the forehand, rings it around, gets it past Higgins and right down towards Roberto Luongo, who's out to play the puck to Christopher Tanev. His dad saw him play in Ottawa, Mike Tanev, and he's in Vancouver for a visit and in attendance at this game. But that winds up as an icing call, and the faceoff comes back into the Canucks zone.
2-on-1, Roberto Luongo plays it very well. Takes the man with the puck. Jason Garrison did a nice job. There's no way that that pass was going to go across. So Roberto knows he's got the shooter all the way, and he was able to make the save on David Moss.
Kessler against Hansel on a face-off in the Vancouver zone. Puck slides through to Luongo. He leaves for Hanhus, who backhands the puck ahead for Mike Santorelli. He slid it out of the reach of Kessler. Murphy plays the puck forward. Hanhus sends it the other way. Kessler tips it along the boards for Higgins. Christopher Higgins in behind the net. Santorelli after it. Smith plays it around past Tanev. And Hanhus is back to pick up the puck in his own zone. Fakes one way, cuts the other way, get away from Radim Vrbata. Hanhus, perfect pass to Tanev. Fakes the shot, cuts wide, puts it in front. Kessler's after the puck, and while falling down, he just chipped it wide. Higgins gets the puck, centers for Kessler, and on the backhand, he couldn't make contact. Ribeiro takes possession for Phoenix and leaves for Keith Yandel. 5.5 minutes into the second, 1-0 Vancouver on a power play goal by Jason Garrison. Martin Hansel, drop pass, Yandel cuts in front, Yandel back to Hansel, round behind the net, out the far side, centers the puck, and it's over the stick of Bottker and all the way down the ice. Dangerous looking rush for the Coyotes. Now Weiss forces a turnover in that Phoenix zone. Hansen to the blue line, Stanton, right point, Bieksa, high slot, Hansen, in deep, Richardson. Canucks throwing it around nicely. Richardson trying to get it back to Jannik Hansen. That's broken up. And the Coyotes send the puck up to Mikhail Bottker. He carries it on the right wing. Stops to get away from Stanton. Puts the puck in front. Burnett has it. Tried to put it on the forehand, and it was knocked away. Now Schlemko tries a shot, and that winds up on the stick of Jannik Hansen. Hansen bobbles the puck at the Phoenix blue line. That put the play offside. And as the whistle blows, we'll step aside. Canucks drawing first blood and leading the Coyotes 1-0.
Game pack and save big on single game ticket prices. Choose from select December regular games and late season premium games and come see the Canucks play live. This limited time offer ends December 9th, so don't delay. Visit Canucks.com/packs today.
Here's Dan Hamhuis. A breakout by your defenseman. Nice little move. And both guys get involved. Hamhuis to Tanev. Tanev starts the play, and Ryan Kessler almost finished the play.
Garrison and Bieksa on the ice now.
Sorry, John. Dan Hamhuis played over 10 minutes in that first period. And I think his confidence is getting up there now, too. And that little deke back in the corner just shows how comfortable he is feeling right now.
Turnover for the Coyotes. Sestito to Dalpe. In behind for Zach Kassian. Trying to wrap around on the backhand. Sestito winds up with the puck. Centers for Dalpe, who was, I think, trying to tip it back to one of the point men. But that didn't work. Puck out to center. Chopped back in by Kassian. Dalpe hustles in after it. Works it free to Sestito. Checked by Burnett. Sestito keeps after the puck. Dalpe as well. Coyotes clear it to the line past Bieksa. And now he's being pursued by Tim Kennedy. One-time saber, one-time shark. Kennedy beat to the puck by Bieksa. Clearing attempt, took a hop right across the slot, but Dalpe's there for Vancouver. Long pass picked off by Murphy. Ribeiro takes his pass. Can't get it by Jason Garrison. Daniel Sedin has the puck. Flipping it ahead, Kassian will head to the bench rather than chase after it, as Smith settles the puck for Yandel. 7.5 minutes into the second. Verbata to Hansel at center, moving in on Santorelli, who's covering for Hanhus. Hansel drops. Verbata from the corner in front. Hansel shoots. Good with a save, and he covers up. As Martin Hansel had time to take a look, pick a spot, but he couldn't beat Luongo.
And again, Roberto, that positioning. If he's got time to get set and get ready, he's going to make the save. And Marty Hansel gave him the time when he rejigged the shot. Stop, and then Roberto's got time to get out there and get the right arm in the way of that shot by Martin Hansel.
Shots are 13 apiece in the game, 3 each here in the second period. And the Canucks with the only goal, a power play talent from Jason Garrison. Smith's out to play the puck again. Kessler intercepts, puts it in front. Santorelli couldn't get there, and the puck is cleared out by Kennedy. Stanton back in his own zone. Up the middle of Ryan Kessler. Santorelli takes the pass on the right side. Wide on Yandel. Puts the puck towards the front. Kennedy picks it off. Can't get by Kessler, who tried to feed the blue line. Now he holds the puck in, but Yandel is able to shovel it over to Murphy, who headmans to Antoine Vermette. Vermette's hard pass to the near side. Yandel picks it up, but Bodker was inside the line already, and it's offside.
John Tortorella has been able to use his fourth line in this game a little more than he usually does. They've had 2 or 3 real good shifts, especially here in the second period.
Bieksa back for a loose puck. Banks one ahead to Daniel Sedin. Cross for Booth. He's checked, following up is Henrik Sedin, who flips the puck in, gloved down by Rundblad, and he goes right up the middle of Kyle Chipchura. Chipchura delays, fires left wing. Luongo stopped that shot from Klinkhammer, and the rebound cleared away. Rundblad stepped up and nailed Daniel Sedin. But Daniel winds up with the puck and makes a pass from his backside to Kevin Bieksa, cutting in front. The puck didn't follow him as he was trying to step inside on Schlemko. Now we have a penalty behind the play, an interference call. And which way is this one going?
It's against Phoenix.
Klinkhammer looks like the man heading to the box.
Kevin Bieksa, after his rush, was trying to get back into his defensive spot. Klinkhammer gets in his way. Now this is a good hit. Rundblad just comes in. Daniel's got his head down. He's trying to play it. And that's just a good, solid hit.
Canucks 1 for 1 on the power play. Get their second opportunity. Chance to double the lead here as we approach the halfway mark of the second period. Garrison hustled over but couldn't hold that one in. And Hanhus controls the puck in the Vancouver zone. Here's Henrik Sedin. Onto the right wing, Garrison fires the puck around. Smith tried to cut it off. He'll come out almost every time to try to get the puck, but the Canucks set it up. Here's Garrison again. He shoots. Smith the save. Kessler on the rebound, trying to hook the puck in front. That was blocked. And Vermette is able to clear it out to center where Hanhus takes control. They got the look they wanted from Jason Garrison. Now they'll try to set it up again, you imagine. Henrik Sedin in deep for Daniel. Back for Henrik. Now Garrison had to take it on the skate. Passes to Hanhus, over to Garrison, shoots. Right pad saved by Smith. Puck cleared to the line, past Garrison, and down into the Vancouver zone.
That's where the Canucks are looking for the rebound, and Ryan Kessler, right-hand shot, slides over, but Mike Smith was able to kick that rebound back the other way.
Second unit out for the Canucks. Just under a minute to go on the man advantage. Santorelli fishing for the puck. Higgins able to block it behind the net. He skates onto it on the far side. Shovels back to Tannen. Over to Higgins. Rink wide. Bieksa shoots. Blocked. Bieksa after the puck again. Try to get it back to Tanev. That's broken up, and here come the Coyotes short-handed. Long shot. Hansel easily handled by Roberto Luongo. And Tanev winds up with the puck, dropping it back to Kevin Bieksa. 20 seconds to go on the penalty to Rob Klinkhammer. As Higgins moves in on the right wing. Trying to get around Ekman Larsson. Santorelli's after the puck. Moss picks it up. shoots it around past Tanev and down the ice. And that'll just about do it for the Vancouver power play. Enough time to get through center, perhaps, as Clint Hammer steps back on. Vancouver's 1 for 2 with the man advantage and still leading 1-0. Weiss steals the puck in deep for Richardson. Brad Richardson fires back to Stanton. He tries a shot. That didn't get through. Canucks with 3 shots on their 2 power plays. I think they all belong to Garrison. And he's got the game's only goal as Richardson fires the puck back in from neutral ice. Murphy bobbled the puck. Canucks almost came up with it. Now Garrison with a great hold. Long shot deflected and stopped by the blocker of Smith, who was going completely the wrong way. The tip by Brad Richardson, but Smith reacted to make the stop. Coyotes worked the puck to the other end, but Ribeiro missed it, and it's back into Phoenix territory.
Well, that was very close to being offside. Had that gone in.
Tanev back for a puck. Sestito across for Kassian. He's through center with Dalpe. Kassian chips the puck to the corner, goes after it himself. Murphy there to greet him. Dalpe goes down in a fight for the puck. Kassian trying to kick it along the boards. Coyotes send it the other way. And Ribeiro comes back. Sestito had him lined up and knocked him right into the pile. But Ribeiro did see him coming, was able to brace himself. Now Kassian and Ribeiro tangled up behind the play as action moves to the other end of the ice. Kassian without his helmet. As the Coyotes try to set up something in the Vancouver zone. Tanev gets the puck, but Ribeiro holds it in. Sends it across, right point. Slap shot by Schlemko is blocked by Tom Sestito. And the puck comes free to Dan Hamhuis. Pass ahead, Sestito able to tip it out. Will the Canucks be able to make their change? 2 of the 3 forwards able to get to the bench as Paul Bissonnette plays the puck back into Vancouver end. Chip Chura from the corner. Bissonnette centers. Daniel Sedin knocked that away. And he circles his net before starting out. Pass ahead to Dalpe, who wants off. He throws one forward for David Booth. He chases after the puck in the Phoenix zone. Under 7 minutes left. Second period. 1-0 Vancouver. Here's Alberts with a long shot, and Smith a routine saves. Long pass to center, deflects off Bieksa, right to Mikhail Bodker. Up the left wing, Kyle Chipchura throws one towards the Vancouver goal. That winds up on the far side of the ice. Kennedy in a battle with Booth, who comes out with the puck and sends it across to Daniel Sedin. Daniel up to Henry. Now Booth. Puck knocked away from him, then Booth was knocked to the ice. And Bodker finds Keith Yandel left wing at center. He's waiting with the puck before driving into the Vancouver zone. Vermette blocked the clearing attempt. Alberts gets the puck and quickly gets it to Daniel Sedin. He plays it forward. Yandel stepped on the puck. Here's Santorelli cutting in. Santorelli stopped by the glove of Mike Smith. Great chance for Mike Santorelli after Keith Yandel stepped on the puck and fell down. Delayed offside here against Vancouver, so Santorelli will tag up and continue on the ice after that great chance to make it 2-0. Now here's Hansel moving in. One hands the puck in front. Santorelli able to pick it up, and he circles back in his own zone. Throws one to center, and here comes Kessler with Higgins. Kessler down the right side. Goes wide on Yandel, now throws on the brakes. Canucks are changing their defense, so you know when to pass through the blue. Puck comes to Kessler again. To the left point for Stanton, but Verbata just got enough of that puck to tip it out. Second period hasn't taken very long.
No, we're playing straight time.
A little over 5 minutes left in it. The opener of a 5-game homestand for the Canucks. They lead it 1-0. Kevin Bieksa in his own zone. Pass to Ryan Stanton. Weiss deflects that puck into the Phoenix zone. Richardson plays it behind the net. Chipchura intercepts. Stanton moves down to the left point. As always, the Canuck defense very active. Pinch first, ask questions later. Here's Hansen turning on the left wing. Centers for Richardson. Couldn't knock it down. Bieksa gets the puck on the right side. In the middle, Weiss with a shot. Blocked by Smith, who was able to knock it down but couldn't squeeze it. Weiss throws a hit on Chipchura, who's able to get the puck out. Stanton breaks it up ahead to Dale Weiss, who's skating miles in this game. Hansen down the right side, drops for Weiss, couldn't get the shot through. Hansen centers again, that comes right out to center. And here's Bissonnette off the bench, in on the left wing, trying to tip the puck forward and skate onto it, but it comes right through to Roberto Luongo, who covers up. We'll catch our breath on a rare stoppage. It could have stopped here had Mike Santorelli been able to take advantage of the Yandel gaff, but he couldn't.
To a Canucks game with their Eat Pizza Win Tickets contest every week from December to March. One lucky fan will win a pair of Canucks tickets. Go to pizzahut.ca or call 310-1010 to order. You're automatically entered to win. Pizza Hut, the official pizza of the Vancouver Canucks.
Ryan Stanton is in the penalty box as we return. The concealing the puck penalty called as he shoveled it along the boards to try to work it to Daniel Sedin, but a false start on the draw. And they'll do it again.
I didn't get on my soapbox about the ones at center ice where they carry it 5 yards.
Well, but we've seen a few calls
Yes,
lately.
we have.
So
We have. That's right.
You should be appeased.
And Ryan Stanton did grab that one and lift it a little bit.
Well, along the ice, you can't even put your hand over top of it and shovel it along. Here's a centering feed. Tanev sprawled to block it. They did a full 360, a little breakdancing from Chris Tanev. Rundblad with a fanned pass at the blue line. And Richardson takes his time before flipping the puck into the Phoenix zone. Remember the breakdancing scene?
Yes.
Don Amici and I can't remember the movie. You know about the old people. And the Cocoon.
Cocoon. You bring your own cardboard and roll around.
Always a chance to date ourselves. Here's Rundblad. Rashad Luongo deep in the crease makes the save, and no rebound to be had for Phoenix.
And that was because Ryan Kessler was out trying to block that shot, and it got by him, and Roberto picked it up late. Fake by Rundblad, and you can see Kessler goes right by it, and Mike Ribeiro is there, couldn't make contact. Roberto able to swallow it up, no rebound.
Still a minute 16 to go on the penalty to Ryan Stanton. Puck to the corner, off the draw. Ribeiro gets it. Back to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Vrbata on the near side. Finds Stone at the blue line. Down the boards for Radim Vrbata, who plays catch with Stone. Now passes to the corner to Hensel. Bad pass there as he tried to get it back. And Richardson winds up with the puck and makes no mistake, dumping it all the way down. Under a minute to go in the power play. Just under 2 minutes remaining in the second period. And the Canucks leading 1-0. Ribeiro tried to go across. That hit Daniel Sedin. Bieksa couldn't clear. Glove down by Hensel. Ribeiro to Hensel. Right point. Stone. Into the middle for Ekman-Larsson. Backhand pass to Ribeiro. Hansel's in front. Pass comes across to the other point, and that's going to carry him off the boards and out to center. Ribeiro on the left wing steps back over the blue line. Rink wide feed. Vrbata back to Stone. Ekman-Larsson down to Ribeiro. Bobbled the puck. 10 seconds to go in the power play. And Bieksa checks Ribeiro, but he comes up with the puck. Puts it in front. Here's Stone. He shoots. Blocked by Henrik Sedin, who sprawled to make that play. Bieksa after the puck deep in his own zone. Check. Vrbata comes up front, and he slid it just wide. Penalty's over. Stanton's out of the box, and he's after the puck on the near side, picking it up and skating out. 3 Canucks through center. Stanton and the Sedins, and Ryan Stanton's pass broken up, but he gets it back. Daniel Henrik shoots, scores! Well, the initial rush didn't work, but Stanton got the puck back, and the Twins made it happen to make it 2-0.
Ryan Stanton out of the penalty box, and the Coyotes at the end of the power play didn't have their personnel on the ice, so they're changing. And you see the Coyotes. The power play's over, and they're disappointed. They're bad change, and that Ryan Stanton, bad play there, but he gets it right back again. And Daniel and Henrik, as you say, made it happen. Ryan Stanton with the bad play, and then a good play on Keith Yandel to get it back again. And Mike Smith has to go off his body and in.
8th of the year for Henrik Sedin. Daniel Sedin has his second assist of the hockey game. And Ryan Stanton has his first point since his 3-assist effort in the game against Columbus here at Rogers Arena, the 6-2 win.
Oh yeah, I bet Dave Tippett will look at that and say, what are you guys doing after the power play? They all just stood there, and then they started to change when Ryan Stanton picked the puck up.
So the Canucks double their lead in the final minute of the second period, but here come the Coyotes in. Bodker missed on a one-time attempt, and Richardson winds up with the puck for the Canucks. He dumps it into the Phoenix zone with 20 seconds to go in the second period. Vermette with a pass to Bodker. 10 seconds left in the second period. Mikhail Bodker flips one on goal. Luongo the save. Puck is still loose. Vermette came and jammed at it, and Luongo able to grab the puck with 2.9 seconds remaining in the second period.
Well, here's what I was talking about. Now look at this change. Look at this power play. There goes those guys. They're walking off the ice. So even if the guys want to come on to replace them, they can't because they'd have 8 guys on the ice, and the Canucks make them pay. Sure, you're disappointed the power play didn't do anything, but boy, oh boy.
Another winner on scoring win for Safeway and General Mills Cheerios. Linda McAllister of Coldstream, congratulations. You won a Bradley Original Electric Smoker. Mike Smith stays in. Sometimes you see teams pull the goalie in this situation. 2.9 on the clock. Offensive zone draw. They win it. Yandel back to Stone. He shoots, blocked by Kessler, and that hurt. Ryan Kessler slow to get up after making sure that point shot didn't get through to his netminder.
Well, 2.9. The faceoff goes back. One quick pass, and Ryan Kessler turns to block it.
2 goals, second period for the Vancouver Canucks. Jason Garrison got them going on the power play, and Henrik Sedin doubled the lead in the final minutes. Don Taylor's coming up with an update, and Dan Murphy's going to have a chat with the NHL Executive VP of Marketing, Brian Jennings, talking Heritage Classic. That's all ahead. Canucks lead by 2 at Rogers Arena.
Welcome back to Vancouver. Just getting set to drop the puck here in the third period. And your scoring summary in the second period brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Jason Garrison continues his hot streak. He's got his 4th game on the power play. Henrik Sedin scoring late from Daniel. And Ryan Stanton. Canucks with a 2-goal lead.
Let's have a gander at John Garrett's Fresh Take. It's brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with the new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway, eat fresh.
Ryan Garrison had a stretch where he had 14 games without a point. Jason Garrison gets it, and shot on the net. Jason Garrison has had 5 shots on goal, none blocked, and none missed in this game. One of them went in, and I think that's our fresh take, is Jason Garrison in the last 2 weeks. He has 90 shots on goal now on the season, and I'd say 20 of those would be in the last 5 games.
Now, has he taken something off of it? Is he just directing a little more? It's hard enough as it is.
I think he's getting used to playing on the power play, on the first unit, and making sure that he's ready before the pass comes across.
Coyotes trying to apply some pressure early in the third, down 2-0. Brad Richardson able to get the puck out. Mikhail Bodker passes back to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Ekman-Larsson from behind his net, flushed out by Richardson. Gave a couple of chops. Referee took a look. Allowed play to continue, and here's Chipchura. Stops on the right wing inside the Vancouver line. Tried to feed back. That didn't work. Connor Murphy controls it center across to Keith Yandel. Ahead to Chipchura. Couldn't take the pass cleanly. Minute into the third. Hanhus takes the puck free. Sends it to Daniel Sedin. Quick touch pass to Henrik, and here he comes to center. Henrik Sedin dumps the puck in behind the Phoenix goal. Smith out to play it. Gets it over the head of David Booth. And did it hit the glass and go out? Yes, it did. The face-off will stay in the Phoenix zone.
And Jason Garrison, without Alex Edler, Jason Garrison is getting more ice time. In the first 10 games, 9 points, -3. You get your points on the power play. Next 14 games, even, but absolutely no points. And the Canucks want points from Jason Garrison. Last 7 games, again, 9 points, and back on the first unit on the power play, playing with confidence, and in my opinion, playing better against the higher quality opposition. He's out there against the first lines a lot more.
Kessler line on the ice. Puck gets by Tanev, and here come the Coyotes. Hansel down the left side, shoots. Shot that was tipped, I think, and Luongo had to react and get the left pad on it. As it went off a Vancouver stick, and now Luongo with the glove stops a long test from the blue line. Still a 2-goal lead for Vancouver.
A nice job by Dan Hamhuis coming right straight back. Dan Hamhuis leads everybody in ice time. Hansel, the shot is tipped, and Dan Hamhuis coming right straight back into the slot area to pick up that rebound.
Hamhuis leading the Canucks in ice time through 2 periods. Among forwards, might be surprised to learn that it's Mike Santorelli who had the most ice time. About a half a minute more than Ryan Kessler, who's got the puck ahead for Santorelli at center. Broken up by Schlemko, but Kessler follows up and gets the puck to the blue line. Santorelli brings it in, but Kessler was across already. And the whistle blows on the offside.
I like this line, the composition, and you want different ingredients on the line, but all 3 guys have speed. Higgins, Santorelli, and Kessler. Higgins a shooter, Kessler a shooter, Mike Santorelli, good speed along the boards to dig the puck out. Good combination.
Mike Santorelli's face adorning the front of the game program for this one. Even something like that, when you see it's got to be a bit of a thrill for a guy who grew up in the area.
Yes.
Here's a 3-on-2 for Phoenix. Halpern on the left side, sharp angle shot. Luongo got the stick on it. Garrison passes to Henrik Sedin. Across to Andrew Alberts, who pokes the puck to center, skates onto himself, and dumps it into the Phoenix zone. Coyotes with an early 3-0 edge in shots here in the third. Henrik Sedin passes into the pile, hoping to draw too many men call. Daniel Sedin there, motioning that the whistle should blow. Play goes on. Yandel with a long shot, easily handled by Luongo. Whistle blows.
You could see Dennis Leroux, who was the referee at the far end of the ice, looking at Justin St. Pierre to see if he was going to make a call on this play. At the bench, Halpern was trying to get off, but it was in his skates. Hansel's there.
There is a stipulation in there about it being purposely played there, I think. And well, 74.1 reads, if in the course of a substitution, either the players entering the play or the players retiring is struck by the puck accidentally, the play will not be stopped and no penalty will be called. Do you like how quickly I got that?
Yes. Lonnie Cameron and Brad Lazarowicz talking things over.
Set to drop the puck in the Vancouver zone. 2.5 minutes into the third. Canucks up 2-0. Pass back by Verbata, split the uprights. And Mike Smith handles the puck, leaving for Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Canucks not having a good face-off night.
Their best has been Zach Dalpe, who's 4-0. David Booth was the only other player with a winning record. The other centermen are getting killed through 2 periods by Phoenix.
Burnett in particular, and Hansel.
Here's Santorelli quickly onto a puck in the corner. Higgins, while falling down, pokes it to Santorelli again. Canucks will take as many shifts as they can at this end of the ice. With just over 3 minutes gone in the third period. Higgins killing time. The Coyotes can't move the puck out of the pile. Pretty at 8, John.
No. Good sound effect.
This is crazy. Are you kidding me? They're going to get a good hand for this.
There you go.
Chris Higgins, take a break. Here's Rivero through center. In over the Vancouver line. Nice move, Rivero. Put it wide as he tried to outweight Luongo and go upstairs. Back come the Canucks. 4 of them to center. Sestito in on the left wing. Into the middle. Bieksa. Cassian. Stopped by Smith. And the Coyotes will try to break back on the Canucks, who are caught off ice. Bodker up the left wing. Kennedy moving towards the goal. Luongo stopped him as he went to his knees. Puck Geldine at the left point, going on goal, deflected, blocked by Bieksa after it was tipped by Mikhail Bodker. Here's Kennedy spinning out of the corner. Now spinning back the other way to get away from Kassian. Centering pass blocked by Bieksa, who couldn't clear. Bodker gets the puck again to the right point. Rundblad in behind for Vermette. He couldn't reach the puck. Schlemko holds it in. Bieksa after it in the corner. Sends it ahead. Rundblad is waiting. Diving is Sestito. Forces the puck out. And the Canucks should be able to start a change here. Sestito will stay on while the other two forwards head to the bench. Kennedy gets behind him and moves in on the right wing. Tim Kennedy waiting for help. Stanton trying to stay with him. Dave Moss is onto the puck. Moss makes a move in the middle, but Dale Weiss takes it away. And Weiss chips the puck in and heads after it. Gets around Connor Murphy. Puts it in front, and Richardson swiping at the puck. Couldn't make contact. Here's Weiss again. You talked about his confidence earlier, John. Hansen from the corner. Yannick Hansen.
Looks like the Dale Weiss of the Dutch Elite League.
Yes, the Flying Dutchman. Here's Keith Yandel the other way. In over the Vancouver line. Dishes off left side, and a quick shot by Klinkhammer is blocked away by Luongo. Weiss missed on that clearing attempt. Richardson gets the puck, calmly works it to Hansen, who plays an open wing at center. Coyotes try to move back in. Klinkhammer into the middle, Yandel. Pass for Chipchura, winds up in the corner. Klinkhammer to the blue line. And the puck bobbled by Stone. It's out to center. Henrik Sedin trying to steal. Couldn't come up with it cleanly as he tried to move in with Daniel. Now Daniels through center, in with David Booth. Daniel slows on the left wing. Daniel cutting towards the goal. Tried to put it on the backhand. Puck deflects to Henrik Sedin. Behind the net, Booth tried to help it along to Daniel Sedin, but he was tied up by Schlemko. Here's a long lead pass. Broken up by Bieksa as it was intended to send Ribeiro in alone. Hansel forces the puck over the line. Now goes after it behind the net, but he's taken off the puck. And then he grabbed Henrik Sedin and took him down. As Hamhuis fed ahead to Booth, who tipped the puck down the ice. It'll be icing as the fans react to Henrik Sedin being thrown down.
Might be time for a timeout here. Mike Ribeiro, look how fast he's going this way. Nice move, goes wide, wait. And, oh man, I missed the net. And now watch Mike Ribeiro. Okay, yeah, they're going the other way. It's 3-on-2. And here's the, along the boards, the scrum. Along the boards, 39 seconds, John, it took.
It felt like half an hour.
Yeah, it did.
Here's Ribeiro. Nice pass back. Rundblad, wrist shot, missed the net. And I'm not sure Luongo had a look at that puck. Moss was right in front of him. Booth the other way. Drops for Henrik Sedin. In front for Daniel. Puck never got to. Sedin's taking an extended shift here after the icing. Tanev with a long blast off the shoulder of Smith. And Hughes holds the puck in deep. Booth has it. David Booth. Checked by Ribeiro. Henrik Sedin's after the puck. Coyotes come up with it. Rundblad up ahead for Ribeiro. Can't get by Tanev, who sweeps the puck ahead. Daniel Sedin wants to head to the bench, so he won't chase after. Kessler back out with Santorelli and Higgins. 7 minutes, 15 seconds gone to the third period. Jordan Schwartz, rare appearance for him on the ice, forces the puck into the Vancouver zone. It's offside, however, and we'll step aside from Rogers Arena.
Holiday season, Heritage Classic Collection, perfect for the classic fan. There are great Canucks gift ideas for the pet lover, executive, or collector on your list too. Visit any of the 3 team store locations or check out more gift ideas at vancouvercanucks.com/gift guide. Canucks team store where the players shop. What you know about rocking a wolf on your noggin?
Can you get that at the team store?
A coyote? No, it's not a coyote.
I think it is. They look like the ones that roam around the golf course. Face off outside the Vancouver blue line. And a 2-0 Canuck lead. Bodker picked up that puck and moved it. Knocked down, but able to work it back. Here's Connor Murphy firing one towards the goal. That hit Zach Dalpe, who is engaged with Antoine Vermette. Now Chipchura trying to put one through traffic. That deflects to Zach Kassian, who's able to chip the puck down to the Phoenix blue line. Bodker rifles the puck back in. Vermette to the blue line. The end of the long shot. Luongo with the blocker puts that to the corner. After the loose puck is Stanton. ahead to Cassian, and he's able to skate it to center on the left wing. Gently played into the Phoenix end and head to the bench. 8 minutes into the third. Bodker starts out. Now forced back by Chris Higgins. Hard pass to the side, deflects off Yandel, right to Santarelli. Here's Higgins in the corner. Murphy moves to check in. Higgins to the blue line. Tanev, wrist shot, gloved by Smith. With Santarelli there hoping for a rebound. Hey, I get to tell you about soccer, John. Barclays Premier League. Tomorrow, 4:30 in the morning on Sportsnet Pacific. Man United against Newcastle. Then at 6:30, same channel, Liverpool versus West Ham United. Also at 6:30 on Sportsnet World, you can watch Stoke City against Chelsea.
Big World Cup draw today. Which group do you like?
Do I like or?
Which group would you not want to be in?
There's a couple. There's a couple tough
Yes,
groups.
there is.
They're debating which is the group of death this year.
The U.S. team's in a tough group.
Kind of like the Western Conference in the NHL this year. Pacific Division in particular. Santarelli chips the puck in. Kessler goes after it in front for Santarelli, and Genzel made a good defensive play there. Santarelli and Kessler really starting to read off each other. Coyotes break in now. Ekman Larson with the wrist shot. Knocked down by Luongo. Rebound is there, and he's able to hold it out as Bravada tried to stuff it home. Just poked at the puck. Now a centering pass for Bravada. Tipped away by a diving Tanev. Bravada gets the puck. Right point to Ekman Larson. His shot blocked by Kessler. For Hansel trying to center. Luongo grabs the puck. Gets the whistle at the side. Went down a little awkwardly. But some hairy times around the Vancouver goal.
Roberto Luongo really had trouble with that original shot, but he gets himself in position to make the save on the rebound. Canucks back in. Chris Tanev's picked. You can see Roberto thought he had it off his shoulder, but able to handle it. Get that right pad down to make the save on the rebound.
Shots are 10-2 Phoenix here in the third.
Remember the quick whistles that Roberto got in Nashville? That was a real late whistle on that one as he had it trapped along the post.
Henrik Sedin against Mike Ribeiro on the faceoff. A little over 9 minutes into the third. And Phoenix has been pushing hard this period, trying to get back within one. Here's David Booth in on the left wing. Booth tried a wrist shot, and Yandel checked him from behind just as he tried to fire the puck. Yandel collects, jumps around for Klinkhammer, who hooks the puck to center. Garrison waiting for it. Ahead for Daniel Sedin, who blew a tire. But he gets back up, pokes the puck in, only to have it shot back out by the Coyotes. David Booth dumps the puck forward. Sedins are heading off. Defense changing as well as Booth tries to steal the puck. Almost did, but Yandel's out with it. Up to Ribeiro. He walks the line. Now hooks one back for Ekman Larson. Down the right wing, he skates to the puck. In behind, Bodker making moves out of the corner. Back to Ekman Larson. Other side. Lundblad with a wrist shot, and that was tipped wide of the goal. Bieksa with the loose puck. Gets it around. Hansen takes a hit. Here's Richardson on a breakaway. Brad Richardson in on goal. Fighting the puck a bit. Gets in too deep. Still has it behind the net. Centers Hansen. Bobbled his shot. Couldn't get it on goal. Now Stanton with a drive. Kicked out. Rebound. And Dale Weiss couldn't find it in his skates. Hansen the best chance, and I don't know if he was checked just as he tried to shoot it, but the puck kind of went up and sideways. Vermette with a drive, scores! What a shot by Antoine Vermette. Crossbar and in, I think, to make it 2-1.
John Tortorella shaking his head after the great chances at one end. Antoine Vermette from the blue line tees one up and gets all of it. Puck comes back, and here's Vermette. And it goes by Brad Richardson, who is at the end of a long shift. Can't get off. Yannick Hansen stole the puck, and it went right to Vermette. And John Tortorella didn't like that line after their great chances. Couldn't get off the ice.
Vermette has his seventh at 10:34. Still plenty of time left for the Coyotes. As Luongo was kind of lunging at that one, falling down and pushing forward, and the puck sounded like it went off the crossbar and into the net. Phoenix scores its first goal on its 30th shot of the game. And now the Coyotes move back in. Canucks have been prone to quick goals in succession against, but that rush produces nothing, and Hamhuis starts slowly out with the puck. Hamhuis down the left side, plays the puck around for Mike Santorelli to go after. Vermette checks him, and the puck is played to Murphy. Quickly ahead to Antoine Vermette. Chipchura and Ekman Larsson drawing assists on Vermette's goal. Dale Weiss can't get the puck out. Rundblad down for Chipchura. His pass was behind Vodka, and the puck escapes the zone. Phoenix controls at its own blue line with 8.5 minutes left in the third period. Here's Vodka with a wrist shot. That was blocked by Kevin Bieksa. Garrison gets the puck around, held into the left point by Schlemko. Down for Chipchura. He's checked by Richardson, and Weiss turns and gets the puck down to the Phoenix blue line. 8 minutes left in the third period, and the puck dumped back into Vancouver territory. Garrison just hammers it around. That winds up in the penalty box, so there'll be a face-off in the Vancouver zone when we return. Phoenix is on the board, and this game is still very much up in the air with the Canucks lead shrinking to 1. Goal in this game, that's 7 straight, 9 of the last 11, and Canuck Power Play is brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with the new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway, eat fresh. Now they're back in a 1-goal game, John.
Yes, they are, and face-offs become even more important.
Antoine Vermette, who scored the goal, is 11-4 in face-offs in this game, but it's Mike Ribeiro who moves in to take this one.
Martin Hansel's 11-4 also.
Ribeiro's the only guy who's struggled. He's 0-3. That one was kind of a scramble draw. Klinkhammer winds up with the puck. Blue line pass, Ekman Larsson, wrist one. That hit Bieksa on the way through. Garrison after the puck chops it forward. Glove down by Klinkhammer. Garrison, another chance, gets the puck to Henrik Sedin, back to Bieksa, out to center. And the Canucks relieve the pressure. Ribeiro passes back, Stone. Over to Ekman Larsson. Michael Stone up with the puck. Ahead to Moss, who's in on the right wing. David Moss with a wrist shot, stick save Luongo, and a shot that was probably heading wide anyway. Moss gets the puck again. Klinkhammer behind the net for Ribeiro. Mike Ribeiro to Klinkhammer coming up front, stopping Luongo. They score on the rebound. David Moss put it home. And Moss has tied the game as the Coyotes score twice here in the third.
Canucks coverage in their own zone not very good, and you can see John Tortorella not happy at all with the way this ended up. Control along the boards. Klinkhammer does a nice job, throws it back to David Moss, and Jason Garrison chases in the corner. Kevin Bieksa's in the corner, and now nobody's in front. Klinkhammer tried to short-side it, and Roberto Luongo has to go off his shoulder, and David Moss is in front to get that rebound. Chris Higgins doesn't take the stick, and Moss just slides it in.
Pretty nifty pass by Mike Ribeiro off the back of the net to Klinkhammer to get the opportunity started. And the Coyotes scored twice in 2 minutes and 21 seconds. This was very much the story of the 6-game homestand, where the Canucks had some late letdowns to fall behind in games that it looked like they were going to win. Back to even in this one as Higgins moves in on the left wing. See if this gets the Canucks with a little more offensive thrust. They've had 4 shots here in the period compared to 14 for the Coyotes. Here comes Verbata to center. Fake the shoot in, now dumps the puck to the far corner. Yandel is there, testing Luongo from a sharp angle. He was able to make a blocker save. Santorelli, checked by Chipchura. Chipchura comes out with the puck, passes back. Now it's dished to Rundblad in front, and hooked was Chipchura by Kessler. Play goes on. Coyotes move right back in. All the momentum and the confidence in this one now, but now the Canucks have a 2-man break. Hansen's in. Yannick Hansen centers. Richardson stopped by Smith, and then Vermette barreled into his own goaltender and knocked the net off as the Coyotes got caught on a change and the Canucks were in. Great chance there. Richardson set up by Hansen. Got a shot off on the backhand, but it's still tied at 2.
Safeway today. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win a week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Resorts and Spas, courtesy of redtag.ca.
This game hasn't had a whole lot of edge to it, but Marty Hansel has his stick grabbed by Chris Higgins, so he gives him a little shot. Now a 2-0 Yannick Hansen to Brad Richardson, but he didn't freeze the goaltender. Rundblad was coming back, and Yannick had Mike Smith cheating before the pass, and he was able to get across.
Face off in the Phoenix zone. Puck comes to Bodker, and he brings it forward. Checked by David Booth. Henrik Sedin can't come up with a puck. Chipchura dumps it behind the Vancouver goal. Luongo leads, or passes to the side for Stanton. They got their signals crossed a bit there. Garrison able to get the puck out.
Shots are 15-5 here in the third period.
Coyotes came out and pressed from the beginning of the period. Canucks on their heels a bit. Now they're under siege again as Vermette tries to bring the puck in front, but that was broken up. Booth tips the puck into the Phoenix zone and easily skates in after it. Working on Yandel. David Booth behind the net for Daniel Sedin. Richardson goes to the front and got a shot away on the centering pass from Daniel that missed the net. Klinkhammer clears the puck out to center. Ribeiro trying to get behind Hamhuis, who couldn't make the play, and Luongo able to stop Ribeiro. Hamhuis appeared to lose his balance or maybe shift the wrong way, and Ribeiro was able to get around him.
Roberto Luongo fortunately was able to grab that one as Mike Ribeiro had it loose. Rolling puck. As you say, Dan Hamhuis just lost his footing, and Roberto was able to reach out and grab it.
Just under 5 minutes left. And a 2-2 tie. Canucks with second period goals on a power play from Jason Garrison, then Henrik Sedin, but Roberto Luongo's been beaten twice here in the third by Vermette and Moss. And here's Yandel with a chance. Fakes the shot. Poke check by Hansen. Murphy let it go. That was blocked by Hansen, who chased after the puck, but Yandel got there first. Ahead to Moss, who's pressured by Hamhuis. He gets the puck ahead to Brad Richardson. Richardson over the Phoenix line, right up the middle. Richardson passes off. Centerelli is stopped by Smith. Now Richardson trying to center. That's intercepted by Klinkhammer, who ices the puck. And the Canucks are getting an offensive zone face-off with 4 minutes and 26 seconds to go in the third. Here's Don with what's ahead after.
Thanks so much. A reminder that, as always, Gary Volk and I will have a full post-game show after the Canucks and the Coyotes. We get you back now to Rogers Arena.
Bizarre scheduling as a timeout is called here, but a 5-game homestand for the Canucks. They play again Sunday. And the reason I call it bizarre, John, is because the last 4 games of the homestand for the Canucks are 2 sets of back-to-backs for the home team.
Almost a week apart. It makes no sense, but building schedules, other teams' schedules, and Colorado here Sunday after a win in Calgary. They got thumped in Edmonton last night and then played in Calgary tonight and came up with a 3-2 win. Dave Tippett called his timeout on that icing. Frustration of John Tortorella in this game.
Well, you think of, again, when you go back to the last homestand, and the number of points that were squandered late. San Jose coming back late, winning in overtime. Chicago with the 2 goals in 9 seconds that turned that game on its ear. And here against Phoenix, it's been the Coyotes scoring twice, 2 minutes, 21 seconds apart to pull back to even.
Mike Smith taking his time getting back to the net.
Now they're set to go after the extended timeout. Canucks send the puck towards the blue line, but it's between Tanev and Hamhuis. Now Tanev in a battle with Klinkhammer, able to fight him off and get the puck ahead for Higgins. Murphy dumps that the other way, blocked by Kessler, who plays the puck into the Phoenix zone. Yandel out to center. Tanev picks up the puck at his own blue line. Hamhuis to Higgins. He's in on the left wing. Higgins, slap shot. Walkered away by Mike Smith. Puck cleared to the near side. Higgins throws a hit on Murphy. As the Coyotes get the puck out, Tanev wrists it back in. Vancouver changing the neutral zone as Santorelli tries to come up with the puck. Schlemko gets it to center. Vrbata with a neat pass to Hansel. Right up the middle, he moves in with a wrist shot wide of the goal. Puck sent to the blue line. Schlemko in for Tim Kennedy. Daniel Steen took him. Garrison able to pick up the puck ahead for Henrik, who tips one forward out of the reach of Booth, and it will be icing waved off as David Booth turned on the Jets and won the race. Coyotes, though, come up with the puck, and Kennedy's able to bring it out to neutral ice. Now he passes back, and Rundblad feeds Schlemko with just over 3 minutes to go in the third. Rundblad ahead to Bodker. Moving in on Garrison. He hooks the puck in behind the Vancouver goal. Bieksa around for Weiss. Dale Weiss finds Brad Richardson, and he's able to get the puck ahead to center. Hansen taps it forward, now chases after to the Phoenix zone. Goes after Stone in the corner. Weiss gets the puck back for Richardson, checked by Vermette. And here come the Coyotes with Chipchura leading the way. He plays one hard around to the far side. Ekman Larsson there, checked by Tannen. He's under pressure from Chipchura immediately, but able to force the puck ahead to Richardson, who gets it out. Glove down by Ekman Larsson. And that's a hand pass. Chipchura next to touch. And the whistle blows, giving us a chance to check out our game summary. It's been a tale of two games, really, John. It's brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs.
Well, Jason Garrison has had another good game, although he was victimized on that last Phoenix goal and 5 shots, power play. A big part of those shots for Jason Garrison and the Coyotes. They just never give up, but here in the third period have really carried it for the Vancouver Canucks.
Face off right at center after the hand pass. 2.5 minutes to go. Yandel plays the puck behind the Canuck net. Remember, Vancouver with a regulation win can leapfrog Phoenix into 8th place in the West. Coyotes with games in hand, so it was really incumbent on Vancouver to win this game in 60, and they had it in their grasp. May still do it, but in a 2-2 tie with 2 minutes to go. Henrik Sedin through center. Down the left side. Tried to send one on goal. Blocked by Murphy. Daniel Sedin's after the puck. Kennedy's on him. Daniel gets it to Henrik behind the net. Henrik Sedin making moves. Booth's in front. So's Daniel. So's Bieksa now as he goes right to the front of the net. Henrik comes under the backhand. Tries to put one in the crease. That was blocked. Yandel tips it to the side. And the Coyotes bring the puck out to center. 90 seconds to go. Both teams completing changes as Hamhuis takes a pass from Kevin Bieksa. Up the middle to Santorelli. He plays one to the far corner. Higgins chases in on Ekman Larsson. Ekman Larsson around the boards, held in by Bieksa. Here's Kessler chopping one on goal. And Smith on that fluttering puck able to make the glove save and hang on.
All right, Kessler got underneath that one. Just spun around and tried to throw it, surprise the goaltender. Didn't get a whole lot on him. Puck around the boards, good pinch, and Ryan Kessler tries to seize the opportunity but doesn't catch it in the curve, gets it underneath. And it's more of a sand wedge than the driver.
Well, it was like your driver.
Yes, that's true.
Coyotes clear. Tanev back for the puck. Chipchura's on him. Tanev with a tight turn and a good pass ahead to Kessler. You know where the Phoenix line is. We're in the final minute of the third. Kessler with a wrist shot, missed the net. Tanev goes after the puck at the right point and holds it in. Vermette intercepts and drops it back to Ekman Larsson. He's out with a pass to Stone. Ahead to Bodker, deflects the puck behind the Vancouver goal. Luongo leads for Tanev, pass to Garrison. Ahead for Hansen. Through center, got by a couple of Coyotes. Hansen down the right side. Stops, waiting for help. Here's a pass to Richardson. Richardson tried to send one on goal. That was blocked. And the puck is cleared down to the Vancouver blue line. 20 seconds to go in the third period. And Bieksa picks up a loose puck at center. Drives a long one in wide of the goal. Delayed offside here. Canucks have to tag up as Schlemko starts out with the puck. Makes a quick shift at center, moves in, 5 seconds to go, wrist shot, Luongo the save. He was challenging on that one. Schlemko again towards the goal, stick save Luongo. Hansel trying to center, that's blocked, and that'll do it. A strong third period for the visitors. The goal scorers, Vermette and Moss, and disappointment for the Canucks, who can still win. But it won't have the same taste after they surrender the 2-goal lead and head to overtime, knotted at 2.
Canucks hockey on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Subway. Escape the cold with our new Sriracha Steak Melt. Subway. Eat fresh.
Earlier this season was the Coyotes of the Canucks in a shootout. You have to go back a little ways to the last Vancouver win over Phoenix in the shootout.
Henrik in deep for Daniels. Nice move. Works his way to the corner. Behind the net to Henrik again. Finds Hamhuis. He shoots. He scores! Dan Hamhuis, his second of the night. An overtime winner, and the Canucks take it 4-3. The spring of 2011. You remember the support? That was a road game.
Yes.
Did you see the crowd and the sweaters?
No, I don't.
Canuck fever. That spring. It's a little bit subdued here at Rogers Arena at the moment as we get ready for overtime, with the Coyotes scoring twice, out shooting the Canucks 17-8 in the third.
John Tortorella obviously not happy with the way his team handled it here in the third period, or did not handle it. John, you talked about the games that got away on that last homestand, and you can lump this one in with those games.
They can still win it, but it was the regulation win that seems so important in their battle for playoff positioning. And it is early December, but it is so tight, and there are so many teams on amazing paces. Best the Canucks can do now is tie Phoenix in points, but lose the tiebreak based on games in hand for the Coyotes.
John Tortorella likes to use the word traction. And 3 in a row would have been some traction.
Ekman Larsson, pressured by Higgins, knocks him down. Hansel gets the puck, sends it near side. Hamhuis thought about pitching, but thinks better of it as Stone tries a pass that's blocked, and the puck goes into the penalty box for a whistle. 35 seconds into overtime.
Coyotes rarely come back, and that's something that, for them, heading into the third period, their record's not very impressive comebacks. They don't score a whole lot of goals, although this year they have scored more. And give them credit. They really put the pressure on. Everybody pinched in, and they threw everything at the net.
Sedin's out against Vermette and Bodker. Bieksa and Garrison are the Canuck defensemen. Yandel and young Connor Murphy for the Coyotes. Here's Garrison in on the right wing with a head of steam. Sends one towards the goal, gets the puck behind the net. Murphy took a run at it. Missed, but here comes Phoenix with the puck. Could be a 2-on-1. Yandel into the Vermette. Yandel fakes the shot, now lets it go, and he missed the net. Canucks will try to turn it the other way, but Bodker gets the puck and passes back to Murphy. Hard shot from Yandel, but off the target. That pass tipped by Daniel Sedin right to Mike Santorelli. Moves in with a drop pass to Daniel. Cuts to the middle. Daniel still with the puck. Cuts wide. Turns. Dumps it back. The exit the blue line. Moves to the middle. Tries a wrist shot. Tipped by Santorelli. He digs for the puck. Can't get it on goal. Daniel Sedin gets it on the left side. Santorelli with 2 of Vancouver's 4 overtime goals this season. He's in front hoping for a pass, but it's picked off, and Murphy, who's been out there a while, will allow the change to start by circling back and now finding Mike Ribeiro. Ribeiro into the Vancouver zone. Checked. David Booth trying to get the puck out. Can't do it. Here's a chance for Schlemko across the crease. Knocked away by Luongo, and Santorelli picks up the loose puck. Mike Santorelli through center. Over the Phoenix line. Still with the puck. Smith out to cut that one off, but he missed it. Here's David Booth looking in front. Booth with a wrist shot up high. Puck gets by Ryan Stanton and all the way down into the Vancouver zone. A little over 2 minutes into overtime. Stanton out with the puck. Ahead to Ryan Kessler. He's got some speed down the left wing. Kessler towards the goal. Tried to put it on the forehand to get a shot away. That was broken up when the Coyotes get the puck out. Garrison waiting for it. Sends it across to Dan Hamhuis. Out to center for Henrik Sedin, who traps the puck and now passes back to Hamhuis. Gets around one man. Hamhuis down the left side. Shoots. Smith to his knees made the save. And Stone shovels the puck forward, intended for Vrbata, but broken up by Jason Garrison. Vrbata blocked the jump ahead, but Garrison gets the puck back and sends it to Henrik Sedin. Henrik over the Phoenix line. Kessler was just onside. Henrik to Garrison. Had to be careful and didn't get that puck knocked by him. Now he hooks it to Henrik Sedin in the blue line with room. Henrik down to Garrison. Kessler's in front. Henrik Sedin looking there. Skates down the right wing. Under 2 minutes to go in overtime. Henrik around the net. Out front on the backhand. Stopped with the left pad of Smith. Henrik got a good shot away. Looked like he had some room, but Smith got the left leg out. So the game will continue with 1:40 to go in overtime. Ekman Larsson and Luongo reaching with the glove, able to stop that one.
Now, do you think Henrik had time to try and get it under the bar?
And he was reaching a bit.
He was reaching a bit, but that's the best chance for the Canucks, obviously, in this overtime. Henrik takes it out in front and slides it. Had to reach, as you said, it had to reach. Mike Smith, all he does is drag that left leg so that he covers the bottom of the net, and that's all Henrik could do was slide it.
Ribeiro against Richardson on the face-off. Milwaukee Cameron didn't like the way they did that. They'll do it again. Wouldn't be surprised if these teams went to a shootout because they've done it already 6 times in their head-to-head history. But there's still a minute and a half to go in this one. And the puck is held in by Schlemko. Round for Ribeiro. His pass blocked. Higgins gives chase. He's got Richardson and DeExa with him. Higgins cutting it on goal. He shoots. He scores! All's well that ends well, I suppose. Canucks give a point to a division rival, but they get 2 themselves as Higgins ends it at 3:41 of overtime.
Chris Higgins blocks this point shot and creates a chance himself. Chris Higgins gets in position. Okay, you block it yourself, and now you're off to the races. And don't take a chance. Take the shot yourself. Chris Higgins is the shooter. Kevin DeExa is with him. A lot less chance for a mistake if you take that shot yourself, and Chris Higgins made no mistake.
Canucks get the last goal of the night. Chris Higgins produces another winner on Score and Win for Safeway and General Mills Cheerios. From Surrey, we congratulate Jennifer Figluzzi. Jennifer, you won a men's Bulova Marine Star chronograph watch.
And how often does a goaltender go all the way down to the other end of the ice to congratulate the guy who scores in overtime? Because Roberto Luongo didn't have to face a shootout. Here you go. Thank you, Chris. End this now so I don't have to be in another shootout.
The Canucks bent, but they didn't break. Big point for Phoenix, but a big 2 for the Canucks as well. Higgins wins it in overtime, 3-2 the final, as we send it to Murphy.
After a successful road trip, the Canucks return home trying to solve their home ice woes. Looked very good for a while, built up a 2-0 lead. But in the third period, it was all Coyotes as they came back to force a tie. In the end, Canucks do get the win. They win it in overtime thanks to Chris Higgins. Your final from Vancouver. 3-2 Canucks. More from Rogers Arena in a moment.